Hello and welcome to Thinkermaker. In this episode, we're going to see how politicians have perverted the demands placed on the NHS for their own short-term political ends. I can tell you up front, we've driven up the public's expectations wildly as politicians bidding to win elections have fallen over each other to outbrag what they can get the NHS to deliver. Free testing! No waiting! Promises, promises! Vote for me! It all started in the mid-90s with this patient charter leaflet. Look inside and you'll see the word expect everywhere. Expect this, expect that. Be seen immediately. All whilst failing to resource those crucial unmeasurables of the NHS human factor on the supply side. And then came this. Sounds good, eh? More choices. But this marketing drive boosted demand for choice without ensuring adequate supply side resources. A classic case of business management acumen misapplied. And this is a current NHS pledge for 2020. It lists new expectations to be set for the public, clearer risks, reduced costs, more standards, better, safer, more ethical, and shared decision making between patient and professional. Read this definition of shared decision making. The red bits highlights 12 elements. Note this one. People will have options, choices. Now, to spend just 60 seconds on each of these would add up to a 12-minute consultation. And that's without including time for hello, goodbye, or an examination. It even promises self-management skill development, and that's an emotional intelligence skill that takes years to develop. But are staff supplied with adequate time for such luxurious quality communication with patients? No. Look, the average GP appointment is currently 10 minutes. A gross supply-demand mismatch. Not only that, but today's health staff training programs encourage them to talk slowly for improved communication. Really? When the consultation is just 10 minutes long? Clearly the manager's right hand does not know what the left hand is doing. So we end up with system-driven stupidity like this. GPs limited to one illness only per appointment. What? That creates a system requiring sick people to make multiple journeys. It defies human nature for both doctor and patient. Also, remember, the politicians bragging about all those options for patients. Well, studies show that too much choice leads to confusion and stress from being overloaded and not knowing how best to choose. And the world of digital TV learned that lesson in the 90s. More choice is not always good. And our leaders are still doing it, setting high expectations before knowing how we'll deliver. This report from July 2019 sets ever higher expectations for safety. It is utterly absurd to increase the demand side expectations without increasing capacity of the supply side human factor. However, there is one factor which humans do naturally want. It's the natural desire to form a relationship with your regular human health care professional. At consultations and at repeat consultations. People like seeing the same professional on repeat consultations. The professionals prefer this too. And why do people want the same doctor? Because patients and care providers like to establish a rapport and an ongoing relationship with each other. With time in a consultation for a bit of small talk, more eye contact, and not excessive screen time. Indeed, there was a time families had a relationship with the same doctor for life, from birth. Very intimate. But this preference is being disregarded in order to suit process thinking and IT systems. The desire for the same doctor, for continuity, is being denied, rendering healthcare professionals as faceless commodities. And why? Well, the drive for systems efficiency made a foolish, logical assumption that all certified professionals are equivalent. They are considered to be interchangeable commodities with the same certification. And this is what happens when management culture thinks data is king rather than a servant. It leads to requiring humans to fit systems. In chasing management efficiency, we are serving systems and computers rather than people, insisting that one doctor is as good as another, when they're clearly not. They all have the same certification, but she is a great listener and she's not. He is compassionate and he is not. We've got it all the wrong way round. And that's why Sky News highlights this doctor as exceptional. Sadly, he died working in the 2020 coronavirus pandemic. But look what people loved about him. A great listener, a good reassurer, empathic, a wonderful man, the unmeasurable things. Characters like this should be the norm in the NHS, not the exception. But how do you measure wonderfulness? Process-driven commoditisation misses that. But commoditisation of professionals is exactly what globalisation has been doing. And for example, the EU decided to assign equivalence to qualifications from any EU country to magically turn these professionals into interchangeable commodities. But guess what? They're not interchangeable. They're not commodities. It's not just about medical know-how. Unmeasurable factors like shared culture comes into it, enabling familiarity for trust, bringing less stress and thus quicker healing. People instinctively know all this and they don't like the commoditisation, globally or also within the NHS. Anyway, getting to the point, if management creates work circumstances that are systematic and robotic, then you can bet the humans will adapt to becoming robotic. It's a basic psychological response. They can and often do become numb and indifferent. And how do you measure that roboticness? Is that in the data? And so jump forward 20 years and here we are. Tragically, the nurse's instinct and desire to talk with patients has been crushed. Being unmeasurable, this aptitude has gone unrewarded in the system and become suppressed. And stupidly, Prime Minister Cameron suggested an approach to fix this. Yet another system forcing nurses to talk with patients for 10 minutes every hour. Well, enough with the systems. Nurses would gladly do it naturally if only such unmeasurable aptitudes were not drowning in robotic systems. This article reports how people are bewildered at high staff turnover and rarely seeing the same nurse or doctor twice. And such process-driven systems, impersonal, faceless, and lacking intimacy, limits the possibility for professionals to intimately know how a patient, and it leaves them dependent on information systems, which creates risks of data loss and security breach and costs to prevent that. This page is from a 2020 medical staff learning program warning how lost patient records can sabotage timely, urgent healthcare decisions. Costly. The failure of our systems to facilitate heartfelt familiarity and relationship, however old-fashioned, detracts from quality satisfaction, bringing other hidden inefficiencies. In the next episode, we'll explore how care is being squashed by a growing litigation culture combined with the data is king culture. Thank you for watching.